So the Auditor General has concluded that not all taxpayers are treated equally. Let's follow up on that with Canada's Taxpayers Ombudsman Sherra Profit, and she joins me now. Good to see you. Thanks for coming to speak with me.
Thank you very much.
First of all, set out for us exactly what your job entails. I mean, I'm not sure all Canadians who probably should know about you do know about you, but what's the job?
So the job of Taxpayers Ombudsman is we are here to assist in improving the service that the CRA provides to taxpayers. So I'm a special advisor to the Minister to provide her with information regarding the service that the CRA provides to taxpayers. We deal with individual complaints that we may receive from taxpayers, but we also look at issues that are more of a systemic nature that affect a large number of taxpayers or certain groups of the population.
All right, so what stood out for you in these findings from the audit today?
I think what I'm seeing in my brief review of the report is that a lot of the issues, or pretty much all of the issues raised by the Auditor General, we are seeing as well in complaints that we receive. We do actually from time to time communicate with the Office of the Auditor General to indicate issues that we are seeing and for them to get our perspective on various things that they're looking at. And these are issues that we do hear from taxpayers, the ones that they've raised. So I'm very pleased to see that they've identified the same ones, they're raising them, and that the CRA has accepted them and indicated action plans.
Let's go through some of them. The audit found that some taxpayers could not claim expenses if they didn't provide receipts within 90 days, while others with offshore accounts, for instance, were given months or even years to provide that kind of information. How does that happen?
I think consistency is really important, and I'm pleased to see that the Auditor General raised that, and specifically the Taxpayer Bill of Rights and the taxpayer right there. It's something that people need to know that they exist. There are certainly always different circumstances that the CRA looks at, but I think what really is important is that although individual circumstances of each taxpayer needs to be looked at, there needs to be consistency and there needs to be fairness across the board, and that needs to be ensured that across the country there's consistency in what's being done, but also in the types of files.
Right, but so I guess I'm trying to, and I'm not sure how much sort of the inner workings here. So how does that call get made? I mean, what kind of a discretion does the person on the other end of the phone have if they say you get 90 days to provide a receipt, and then some people with offshore accounts are taking years to provide receipts?
I don't know the exact inner workings of how those decisions are made. Certainly there is discretion that the CRA has to have in making certain decisions, but there are certain rules that are supposed to be hard and fast. You know, what I can comment on is that they really do need to look at how those decisions are made to ensure that they're not being arbitrarily made, and that it does make sense given the situation, given the ultimate end outcome that's trying to be achieved.
The Auditor General in the report also found a problem that when the CRA audits individual Canadians, those audits can take 7 months or longer in some parts of the country compared to others. Have you had complaints on that issue about how long some of these audits take, and why is there a difference? We've
certainly had complaints about delays in the audit process. Sometimes it's simply the type of audit, what's being audited. They may be looking at simply one line item versus the entire return that's been filed and all sources of income. That may, you know, account for some of the discrepancies, but there are regional discrepancies for very similar audit files that it depends on how the processes have rolled out, what sort of discretion is being exercised by the various agents within the agency.
And again, does that fall, is there supposed to be? I mean, there's a tab in the Taxpayers Bill of Rights, and I've got to admit I haven't read it. But is there supposed to be a guaranteed timeline for?
Timeliness is one of the elements in one of the articles within the Taxpayer Bill of Rights. It's actually one of the articles we use the most or get the most complaints on is lack of timeliness. And it's not just with respect to audits, it's with respect to a lot of different areas within the CRA that we see. We do try to assist taxpayers when we do get complaints about timeliness. Certainly there are service standards that the agency has, and they do publish these for a lot of their various programs and processes that they have. So we do look at that, but we do a lot to assist taxpayers with respect to timeliness problems or delays that they have. 7 months can be a very long time. An audit is really stressful for a taxpayer. So imagine spending that much time of your life trying to deal with an audit and not knowing where it stands perhaps until the very end. So that needs to be very much addressed.
It also found that Revenue Canada was inconsistent when it waived interest fees for people who had missed filing, for instance, and there is some discretion about you know, fees and penalties based on the kind of hardship that might cause. But again, it doesn't seem to be applied consistently across the country. Do you hear a lot about that as well?
We do get complaints about that. We actually did do a systemic examination and a report on the taxpayer relief program, specifically with respect to delays and some of those inconsistencies that we saw across the country. So there are those issues there that we've raised with the CRA previously. One of the things that the Auditor General raised was inconsistencies in applying whose fault it was for the delay, whether that lied with the taxpayer, whether that lied with the CRA. And I think that is the starting point for what they really need to look at and solidify is, when are they proactively offering relief from interest and penalties when there's been you know, a delay due to the CRA, or is that delay considered attributable to the taxpayer? And that needs to be consistent across the country, while at the same time taking into consideration that particular person's situation.
Okay, so people hearing this will say, you know, if they've had a particular issue with the tax department and they're hearing their circumstances in our conversation, what's the advice? The
advice is give us a call. Check out our website. We can certainly tell you if it is something we can help you with. Generally, the process is file a complaint with the CRA Service Complaints Program first, and then if you're not satisfied, to contact us and file a complaint with our office. There are situations, though, where there's compelling circumstances where we can take the complaint on without it having gone through the CRA Service Complaints process first. So if you're not sure if that's that type of situation, or if it is something within our mandate that we can deal with, give us a call. Our agents will certainly be able to help you decide if that is fits within your complaint and the issue that you're having.
Right. Give me a sense of, finish on this. We hear, we hear lots of knocks against CRA, and certainly in political circles. The kind of complaints we hear about the CRA in this country, are, in your experience, are they common to tax departments in every country, or do we have a problem in this country?
I think there are always problems with various revenue agencies, and from my experience, you know, I do speak to my colleagues across the globe and do attend taxpayer rights conferences that are international. There are always issues. They're always slightly different, but there's always certain things that remain always the same. Compliance is always, you know, a difficult area. You're naturally in conflict when you're working with compliance issues, and so that is something that we do see, you know, every agency deals with, but every revenue agency has different things that they deal with, and the CRA is unique in our country in that it doesn't just deal with revenue. It administers so many benefits, deals with so many other things as well. So we end up with other issues that perhaps other revenue agencies don't necessarily have around the world.
All right, thanks for your time today. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.